Hello everybody. In today's video, or in this video more specifically, I'll be going over my thoughts on detachments as a whole for Warhammer 40k and what my general thoughts and criticisms of them are as a core aspect of the game. So I hope you guys enjoy. As a disclaimer, I have no prior experience with previous editions before Warhammer 40k 10th edition, so I don't have any first-hand experience with the sub-faction system for like Space Marines or some of the other factions, I think like Orcs. So if some of what I criticize or talk about maybe sounding a little similar or, harkens back to the older stuff, just know that I don't have any prior experience with Warhammer in that capacity. Now, for my thoughts and criticisms, because my thoughts and criticisms kind of go together in this, so it's not going to be separated into two different slides like in previous videos. But mainly, detachments I do think allow for armies to be themed and flavorful. So, if you want to play your favorite sub-faction that's within an overarching faction, let's say it's the White Scars, Space Marines, or you want to play a certain Leagues of Votann kin, you can play that, but still play whatever detachment that you want to play. If you, let's say, want to play a White Scars that have a bit more of a slow, steady kind of Anvil Siege Force play style, which is definitely not characteristic of the White Scars, which is as an example. Or if you want to, let's say, play Blood Ravens, you want to paint your Space Marines as Blood Ravens, well, you have free reign to choose whatever detachments you want to pick to play them. You're not locked into, oh, I have to play Ultramarines and they have to be painted like Ultramarines and they have to have Ultramarine characters. Now, granted, I'm sure there are going to be people out there who have the opinion of if you're going to be playing Dark Angels, you have to play them like Dark Angels. You have to play their detachments. You have to paint them like Dark Angels. Of course, you have to use their models, but like you have to do all that. And I think that it's a slightly flawed mindset personally. I do know that certain detachments do incentivize spam of different unit types. So, an immediate example that comes to my mind, from first-hand experiences, Creations of Bile for Chaos Space Marines really wants you to run infantry. So, that's running around with Legionnaires, Raptors, Chosen, Possessed, Havocs, and the like. And I think that's overall like pretty cool, but I do think this is also a criticism because some detachments, because of they incentivize on using certain types of units or certain units that have different keywords that normally don't see a lot of play, or alternatively the detachment itself is very geared towards, hey, you have bonuses when fighting psychers, or you have bonuses when using psyker units or whatever. Those can be kind of, in my opinion, rough, because you find yourself in a potential situation where, depending on your local meta, right, depending on like what your local friend group or whatever plays, a detachment that you really, really, really like, whether it be because it's very thematic or it's very powerful or whatever, it just clicks with you. Well, if you run that detachment and you have your list built out around that detachment, and I don't ever play against any psyker armies that use psychers, right? I don't ever fight Thousand Suns, or I don't ever fight whatever. Like, all I fight are knights, necrons, and Tau, right? It's like, it's gonna be kind of rough. It's gonna suck because then your main army rule or your main detachment rule just doesn't have an actual effect. I also do think, like, as a criticism to also add on top of this, is not all detachments are created equally. I do think that there are detachments that are inherently stronger than others, or just have a more broad strength to them. Like, it's kind of hard to go wrong with playing, Gladius Task Force as a just a off the top of my head example, where it's a good detachment. Is it the best detachment? No, there are definitely detachments that work better for Space Marines, but it also depends on what are you doing. Like, what do you want to be doing, right? With Chaos Space Marines, I would say Renegade Raiders and Creations of Bile, in my opinion, are two detachments where they're kind of different than the rest. I mean, Pact Bound Zealots can even be thrown into the mix on that too, where these are detachments where they just are kind of a cut above the rest and really want you to do some certain things. And as I said before, like in the previous point of like, oh, certain detachments want to they incentivize you to spam different unit types. The negative to that is, yeah, some detachments, those same kind of detachments can be limiting because, oh, the detachment wants me to run a lot of psychers and I can only have so many, or I only like the data sheets or the look of them of these psyker units and they're expensive points wise, so, and I don't really have a whole lot of like wiggle room to get them in, and like if I want to build around those then I have to sacrifice more than I want to do that, so that's where that becomes rough. Alternatively, if it's like unit type, or so like in the case of like Assimilation Swarm for Tyranids, you could have a situation where it's like you like the Tyranids, you like the bugs, but oh, the Tyranid units that have the Harvester keywords, only one of them may be like something where you're like, yes, I want to take that, like a Norn Assimilator, as an example. Yeah, it's not as powerful as an Emissary, but it's still a Norn. I don't think it's inherently bad. Like, I think given the pros of detachments allowing for armies to be themed and flavorful, and there is more flexibility with what you as a player and collector can do, is overall a good thing. But with regards to design, maybe this is just a copium take. It feels like there needs to be more of like a general standard of the, hey, this is the general standard, and maybe some things tend to go a little over or a little under. Because an example of things going a lot over is like more DACA orcs, when orc detachment, when that came out during Grotmas. Really strong detachment. It shouldn't have been that strong. And that's one of those things where it's like, hey, like, does anyone at GW like QA this stuff? Do they test it beforehand? And I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do have some kind of testing procedures that they go through. But yeah, it's like that. It's like, how do you make something like more DACA, and it's like bustedly strong, and then in the same kind of way you can make a detachment like the Unforgiven Task Force for Dark Angels, or I think Wrathful Procession was considered like pretty bad for Black Templars when it came out during, I think, that same Grotmas as Mordaka. So it's, there's that. Moving on to my personal favorites, and these are detachments that I've either played firsthand or I've read, and I really like what I see when I read them. So that'd be Creations of Bile for Chaos Space Marines. My personal favorite for Chaos Space Marines, it's the detachment I've played the most. I really like it, really enjoy it. Liberator Assault Group for the Blood Angels. This is a detachment it just clicks. I fuck with it. Assimilation Swarm for the Tyranids. I have never played the bugs. My friend Jack, who plays Tyranids quite a bit, this is the detachment he tends to play. He enjoys it. From what I've read, I enjoy it from just what I have seen of it and how it makes sense to me. More DACA orcs, although more DACA did get nerfed, not that, or some time ago, it's still a detachment that wants you to use certain units that I overall really like. Yet being able to shoot on an advance, still really good. It's no sustained hits 1 and then potentially sustained hits 2, but hey, being able to move your move your Ludas and your flash gits and your whatever up the board, and they just shoot things and all that is good. And then experimental prototype cadre for the Tau Empire. Now, I personally have I've been a little with wanting to play the Tau. I just, of all the Tau detachments as I've read it, experimental prototype cadre is really the only one I'm like, yeah, I'd play that, because I don't have to wait for anything. It's not like Kauyan or Kuyan, or however you pronounce it. Sorry if I mispronounced it. Where you have to wait 2 turns for you to actually get something, and I think that that's just kind of ass, right? That's just bad. But with that, guys, that'll be wrapping up with my thoughts. Thank you all for watching. Feel free to comment down below what your thoughts are on the different detachments. What are your favorite detachments? What, for whatever army you play, do you have multiple favorites? Do you only really have like 1 or 2 that you're like, yeah, I really mess with that? Feel free to let me know in the comments down below, and also feel free to let me know, hey, what detachments have kind of given you a hard time historically when you've played them, or have there been any interactions with rules and whatnot from some of them where you're like, I just, man, that's rough. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you know what kind of experiences you've had with that. Let me know in the comment section down below if you'd like to see more content like this in the future. Like the video if you enjoyed what you read or listened to. Dislike it if you don't. It's perfectly fine. Feel free to subscribe. It goes a long way to help. You don't have to. But with that, I hope you guys have a great time wherever you may find yourself, whether you're studying, at work, at school, or gaming. Hope you're having a great time. If you're not, hope things can turn around and get better for you. But until the next time, everyone, I'll see you next time. Peace.